Hi everyone, I want to introduce you to a brand new text-to-speech service. So if you check the link in the description, it's going to bring you over to this page. This is still in beta, but you can give it a try. So with speech synthesis, you can basically type out some words over here. You can select a voice, and when you click on generate, it's going to narrate this text in the selected voice. So I'll do that quickly, just so you can hear it.
This is what my voice sounds like. This is text-to-speech.
Amazing, right? So this can really come in handy if you're trying to, create a short film and you actually want your characters to have a voice, or you're trying to create any sort of video that requires narration. So let me give you a little bit more of a deep dive into how you can use this. Okay, so go ahead and actually type something within this box, and I will be explaining this a little bit later on how you can create pauses between sentences. But just type something over here. And you can see at the bottom we have a 10,000 character limit, which is actually quite a lot of text that you can type. But now we want to go to voice selection. So if you want to change your voice, just click on switch voice. It's going to bring up this page. If you want to listen to any of the voices, just hover over any of them and click on this play button.
Our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates.
Alright, you can see you can also filter by language. So if you want voices in a specific language, maybe you've got a script that's written in Korean or Japanese. Ideally, you'd want to use voices that are in that language. You can also choose the accent if you want the United States accent or an English accent or even Indian. You can choose the gender as well as the age. So there's a lot of voices over here, and as you start scrolling down, it's just going to continue to load these pre-built voices, which is awesome. Right, you can see as I keep scrolling down, the language actually changes. But if I find a voice that I like, ideally what you want to do is you want to click on this icon over here, which is to favorite it. So that means I can use this later on. And to actually access this voice a lot easier, you would just go to My Voices and it would appear over here. So I went ahead and listened to some other voices and found one that I liked, which was a female English voice called Abyss. Now these voices, I do think they need some more improvement, but this is in beta, so things will get better. But anyway, I'm going to use this voice for this demonstration. So I'll click on use. Now I've got my text written over here, and on the right hand side is some really cool features. So okay, by default the text is in English, so the language is going to be selected as English, but this feature over here is amazing, and it's something Elevenlabs actually does not offer. It's the way to control the delivery of your dialogue according to an emotion that you select. So in this case with happy, it's going to narrate this audio with a happy emotion. And if I click on generate right now, let's hear what this sounds like. So just give it some time.
This is what my voice sounds like. This is text-to-speech.
So that's awesome. We've got the text that's been delivered with a happy emotion. If I don't like the way it sounded, I can always just click on regenerate speech again to get another example with the happy emotion. But now you can see I can change this to sad, and you'll hear how the tone changes completely.
This is what my voice sounds like. This is text-to-speech.
So this I think is amazing because it gives you a lot more control over the delivery of your dialogue, especially for whatever scene you're trying to portray. Like if someone's being chased by a monster, obviously I don't want the dialogue to be delivered with a happy emotion. So now I can actually choose the emotion, and that I think is incredible, and just gives us a lot more control over the delivery of our dialogue. You can see we've got angry, fearful, disgusted, surprised, and even neutral. So play around with those emotions, generate them, and if you like it, then you're good to go. And one more tip, whenever you're generating any audio, if you actually want to save it, there's a button over here at the bottom which allows you to download the audio so that you can use it in another program. Now there are two more sliders over here which you can play with, but just to explain them quickly, speed, if I decrease this value, the way the dialogue is going to be delivered is going to be a lot slower, but it does sound very artificial, so I tend not to decrease the speed, but by increasing it, it means the dialogue will be delivered a lot faster. And maybe that comes in handy. Maybe you've got a scene where your character's under an immense amount of stress and you want them to deliver that dialogue a lot faster. But to be honest, I just leave that on 1. I think that's where it sounds the most natural. And then you've got pitch. If you decrease this value, the voice will be a lot deeper. If you increase the value, they're going to sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks. So it'll be a very high-pitched voice. And now another useful feature over here is history. So any text that you've generated, if you click on history, well, you can basically see your entire history and you can listen to all of that audio.
This is what my voice sounds like.
This is what my voice sounds.
So that's awesome, and you can obviously click on this icon over here to download it. So I've just gone ahead and put these values on default, and I just changed the emotion to happy. So without typing in anything over here, you can see that it actually gives you this tip where you can actually add a pause between sentences just by typing the string of code. So if I type something over here, you can see I've got two sentences. Essentially over here I want a space, then I'm going to put the less than symbol, hash 0.5 hash, and then the greater than symbol, and then press space again. So now I'm basically creating a pause of 0.5 seconds until this bit of dialogue will be delivered. And if I click on generate, you'll hear that immediately. All right.
This is what my voice sounds like. This is text to speech.
So this is awesome because it gives us greater control over the delivery of dialogue. So you can obviously increase this value. You can make it 2 seconds. You can make it 10 seconds until this until this particular dialogue is delivered. So this is just another great way to create pauses between sentences. And then something else to mention regarding voices, right? So obviously there's a whole lot of voices that are in different languages as well. Like this one's in Korean. If I click on play,
안녕하세요. 음성 서비스를
right, it's basically been trained on a Korean voice, but that doesn't just limit you to using that for Korean. I can use this right now and also type out, English text, and the AI is going to try its best to apply that particular type of voice to this text. You'll hear that right now.
This is what my voice sounds like. This is text to speech.
Although to be completely honest, I don't think it sounds that great, but I did want to mention that you're not just limited to using that voice in Korean. However, you would want to use Korean writing over here because that's when it shines. So if you maybe have a segment in your short film that's in another language, I'll just use Google Translate. So I'll type it in English, convert this to Korean. So I've got the Korean writing over here, which is Hangul, their writing system. And if I go back over here and type copy and paste the Korean text and then click on generate speech, this is when this voice is actually going to shine.
여수하소요. 눈은 하고 안 되다요.
Alright, but there you go. I did want to mention it. You're not just limited to using voices in other languages for that specific language. You can still type out English text. And now there is another amazing feature over here. So we've just been using the text to speech, but if we go to voices,
여수하소요.
of course we can see all of the voices that we have favorited, but you'll see that there's an option over here to create a voice clone, and it allows you to clone 3 voices. So when I click on that, it's going to bring me over to this page. So Hailuo is capable of cloning a voice with just a 10-second clean voice clip. So I'm actually going to clone my own voice. So I'm going to type my name over here. Now I can drag and drop my audio file over here. And if I don't have an audio file, I can record it directly on Hailuo, which I think is fantastic. But you definitely want to read this because it tells you that you need to be in a quiet environment. You don't want any background noise. But it does have a feature over here that it can actually remove background noise from the audio samples. So that's also another great inclusion. But if I want to now, I can go ahead and drag and drop my audio file over here. So I was just talking for about 16 seconds. And then you want to choose the language that audio is in. So in my case, it's in English. And then of course you have to confirm that this doesn't infringe on anyone else's rights. So you probably don't want to be cloning, voices of celebrities. Unless you're doing it for personal use. If you're not going to put it online, I'm sure that's fine. But ideally, you want to clone a voice that you have the rights to use. Then once that's all set up, you want to go ahead and click on convert. So I've got my clone voice over here, and if I have to be completely honest, this does not sound exactly like me. I do think Elevenlabs does a better job with voice cloning, but remember, this is beta, right? So these tools have to improve. But here's my clone voice, and I can click on use right now. And if I go back to text to speech, you can see I've got Trav over here at the bottom, and I'll let Trav, or my cloned Trav, narrate this dialogue.
This is what my voice sounds like. This is text to speech.
So yeah, obviously I know what I sound like. That does not sound like me. It's actually even got a little bit of a British accent that's been applied onto it. So definitely some room for improvement with voice cloning, but I did want to showcase that as well. So remember, like I said, it's in beta. Let's see how this improves. But I did want to show you guys that there is another text-to-speech on the market by Hailuo. So I'm sure they're going to improve this over time, and it's going to become an amazing tool to use. So as the final verdict, and I'm completely honest with my reviews, I think that this does need a little bit more time in the oven, but of course it's in beta, which means that it's going to improve over time. Elevenlabs right now is still the best on the market for text-to-speech, especially with the quality of voices and with voice cloning. Hailuo's voice clone definitely needs improvement. I just could not get it to sound like myself, and a lot of the voices over here sound quite robotic and artificial, but it's going to improve. That's the main thing. Probably their strongest feature over here is emotion for delivering dialogue, and I see a lot of potential with this. So let's see how it ends up improving over time, and it's free, so go ahead and try it. Who doesn't like free stuff? But you guys let me know what you think. Anyway, you guys are super awesome. Stay tuned for some more videos and tutorials, and goodbye.